My name is Jesse Llapitan. I'm the executive chef at the Palace Hotel in beautiful San Francisco. I'm here in our kitchen with my sous chef Sarah Yos, and we're going to be preparing a traditional dish, but we have a modern twist to it. But we thought that this Pinot Noir would be excellent with this dish. Here I have the halibut. I have the beautiful scallops, egg. Some people just put the egg white. I throw the whole thing in. Remember, the key is to keep everything ice cold. And with this, I'm just going to go ahead and pulse. It's just a puree right now, barely mixed up. And then the cream, if you take a look at this, you have a nice mousse. Look how easy this is. Dungeness crab, zing, 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 zing. I put a little bit of Italian parsley, and I chop this up, rough chop. You don't have to be really precise. So basically you mix, 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 just like this, and there you have it. That's gonna be your crab cake. So with this you can make way ahead of time, form them, and throw them in the refrigerator, have some more cake bread wine, and then when everybody comes, you can go ahead and cook it up. Chef Sarah, do you want to go ahead and show how we form these?
We do about 4 ounces for the crab cake. What's important that chef is always telling me is you don't want to break up the crab too much. You don't want to mush it too much. So the less that you handle it, the better it is.
That's pretty easy, huh? I'll put a little bit of sea salt in it, cracked black pepper. We got the crab cake cooking, nice and slow. You want to cook it all the way through. I'm going to turn that down just a little bit. I take a couple pieces of thyme over here. Then I'm going to hit this with a little bit of butter. Now you think, oh, that's a lot of butter. But basically what you're doing with this is you're basting it. You're browning the butter so you have a burn noisette, and you're also getting that flavor, that thyme right in there too. Gotta hydrate yourself with the Pinot Noir. Now that's gonna be wonderful with that. Right now I can start to smell the thyme. I can start to smell the brown butter. So right here, I'll take a little bit of fresh lemon. We'll let this hang out right here. Over here we have another hot pan. I have the flat iron steak. Any piece that has more of the fat, I want to have that down first. You got to be careful, like this is a little bit thinner. You always get that thin part of it, so you want to make sure you don't overcook that. Nice big sprig of thyme. This is a vanilla oil, and wow, you can really pick that vanilla up. It's going to marry really well with that Pinot Noir. I'm going to do that same method as I did with the crab cake. I used a lot of the butter, and I basted it. I want to get the nuttiness of the butter.
You always want to make sure that your water, it tastes like the ocean. Throw the asparagus in there. You want to have it kind of like a rolling boil. You don't want to have it where it's like crazy, crazy, crazy. Since asparagus is a hard vegetable, you don't want to eat them hard, but you don't want them overcooked. So when they bend just like that, it's perfect. I'll heat up a pan, add a little bit of butter, put the asparagus in there, and there you have some lovely browned asparagus.
It's a quick way to make hollandaise at home. Basically for each egg, you need about 2.5 to 3 ounces of clarified butter. I throw the whole egg in. Raw eggs, your butter at the temperature is going to cook it. Juice of about 1 lemon without the seeds. There you have it, nice and fluffy. 1, 2. So, nice and rare. Whenever you roast a whole piece of meat or cut a whole piece of meat, the inside usually isn't really seasoned unless you marinate it. So I always put a little bit of salt right on top. There you have it. Dungeness crab cake, flat iron steak, Cakebread Pinot Noir. I would have this 7 days a week if I could. Well, I can, but I won't. You know, it's very well balanced. Get the cherries.
I kind of get blackberries more than cherries. I think like a blackberry cobbler with vanilla on top, that's the Pinot Noir to me.
I get that.
So for this dish, why would you want to pair something like a Pinot Noir for that?
What I decided to do was take the vanilla tones in the wine and introduce them into both of the components of the dish. kind of, it all works together. So you get the vanilla from here and here. Nothing really predominant, but everything that is so significant to what it really is.
There's so many components and so many different taste variations in this dish that when you have this added into it, I think it matches everything.
Oh, that's good. I think that'd be a great lunch all on its own. Canola oil, 40% olive oil, and we basically take a vanilla bean, split it, and we let it hang out by the pilot light for 24 hours. When you go to the butcher shop, you'll make sure that you ask for dry scallops. And what that means basically is you get scallops that are free from polytriphosphates, because what they do when they're out there in wherever, George's Bank, when they pop them open, they pop them all the way open, they put them in water, but the water actually is a polytriphosphate to plump them up and preserve them. But what's happening in that is you're changing the protein content, and you get a lot of water, and you know, it's no good for the chef, okay? Now these scallops are, they're really fresh. If you take a look at them, Chef Sarah over here, she just got done taking out the side muscle, which is kind of tough. If you were to have these scallops, like in sashimi or anything like that, you would not want to take that piece of meat out, only because it gives it more of a tougher texture. Whenever you remove that, that muscle, the muscle relaxes. So when you're having something for sashimi and so forth, you kind of want a little bit more of a firmer type of scallop. So a little tidbit there. The sauce that we added onto that is a demi-glace. That's a base sauce. You can have a lot of derivatives from that. You basically start out with some veal bones. You want to use veal bones because they're more gelatinous. You take the bones and you rinse them and you throw them in the oven. You roast them till they're completely caramelized. And then you put tomato on there, and then you add a mirepoix, which consists of 2 parts onions, 1 part celery, 1 part carrot. Bouquet garni, but that's basically the gist of it. You throw that in there and you roast it for a little bit more, and you put it in the stock pot, bring it to a boil, remove the skim, hit it with a little bit of red wine, and then you let it reduce more and more and more and more until you come up with your rich demi-glace. You reduce it down twice. Usually we take in between 8 and 16 hours to get your final product. I don't like to use any of the powders or pre-made types of demi-glace, so if there's some sort of a specialty grocery store that you can go to, that you can get the demi-glace in the little packs. Just make sure it's made with veal bones. Oh, if you use the beef stock, take the beef stock, reduce it down a little bit, but you're gonna have to doctor it up. You can make a roux, which is basically flour and butter, and you gotta cook it. But if you don't wanna do any of that, if you really wanna shortcut it and you're making something at home, go ahead and do you can do cornstarch, typical cornstarch, bring it to a boil, slowly do a couple drops until you get a nice consistency that you want. That's a quick method. So take one of those sticks of butter, heat it up, you can take it, put it in a bowl, throw it in the microwave for 45 seconds, and then throw it in the refrigerator. The next day, pull off that fat, and all the water, casein, and whey, and salt, and all the other stuff will be in the bottom. You want to go ahead and discard that. So what you'll have is you'll have clarified butter.